Today, we're going to talk about a movement that's been getting a ton of buzz in the world of personal finance. It's called FIRE. And yeah, it's a pretty radical idea that promises something most of us only dream about, retiring decades, and I mean decades earlier than we ever thought was possible.
And that promise, it's a big one. It really makes you stop and ask, what if you didn't have to work until you were 65? What if you could actually leave the 9-to-5 grind behind at 50 or 45 or even 40? I know it sounds almost too good to be true, right? But for a growing number of people, this is the ultimate goal.
Okay, so let's get into it. First things first, we've got to break down what FIRE actually stands for, and where this whole idea even came from.
So, FIRE is an acronym. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And it's really a lifestyle built on two super powerful ideas: saving like you've never saved before and investing that money intelligently. The whole point isn't just about having a nice retirement someday. It's about pulling that finish line way, way forward.
Now, this is not just some new internet fad. The core concepts were actually laid out way back in 1992 in a huge bestseller called Your Money or Your Life. And a central idea in that book is to think about every dollar you spend as your life energy. Basically, how many hours of your life did you have to trade to earn that money? And when you think about it, it's no wonder this idea is blowing up now. I mean, with pensions disappearing, debt going up, and so many of us just craving more meaning in our lives, that mindset is more powerful than ever.
So how does this all work in the real world? It might sound super complicated, but its followers have boiled it down to a surprisingly simple formula. It's definitely a challenge, but let's break down the key numbers that make the whole thing work.
First up, the savings rate. And this is where things get pretty intense. To make the math work for an early retirement, people in the FIRE movement aim to save a mind-blowing amount of their income. We're talking 50 or even up to 75%. It takes a total shift in how you think about money and a serious look at what you need versus what you just want.
Okay, so you're saving all this money, but what's the goal? How much is enough? Well, the goal is to hit your FIRE number. And the way you calculate this is by taking your total yearly expenses and multiplying them by 25. So, for example, if you live on $40,000 a year, your target is $1 million. This is what's known as the rule of 25.
And once you hit that magic number, how do you actually live on it for the rest of your life without it running out? Well, that brings us to the famous 4% rule. The basic idea is that you can safely take out 4% of your total investments in your first year of retirement. After that, you just adjust the amount for inflation each year, and the money should, in theory, last.
But here's the thing. FIRE isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all plan. The movement has actually branched out into a few different styles to match different incomes and different ideas of what retirement should look like.
So on one side, you've got what's called lean FIRE. This is all about minimalism and extreme frugality. We're talking people who aim to live on less than, say, $25,000 a year. Then on the complete opposite end, you have fat FIRE. This is for the high earners who want to retire early, but without sacrificing their current lifestyle. And then somewhere in the middle, there's barista FIRE. This is kind of a hybrid, where you leave your main career, but you pick up a part-time gig, maybe at a coffee shop, hence the name, for health benefits and a little extra spending money.
So the formula is there, the different styles exist, but with all the hype, you have to wonder how many people are actually pulling this off. It's time for a little reality check.
And the data here is, well, it's pretty sobering. According to Motley Fool, the number of people who are actually retired by their early 40s is just 1%. One. Even when you look at people in their early 50s, that number only goes up to 6%. It's a pretty stark reminder that while the dream is popular, achieving the retire early part of FIRE is incredibly rare.
But this is where we get to the real heart of the movement. Vicki Robin, the author who pretty much started this whole thing, argues that if you're only obsessing over the retirement date, you're missing the point entirely. The real value is in learning how to live a better, fuller life on less money, and reclaiming your time from just mindless consumption.
And that right there brings us to the most powerful and honestly the most achievable part of the whole thing, financial independence. Maybe the ultimate goal isn't really to just stop working. Maybe it's about gaining total control over your life and your choices.
You see, the real magic of the FIRE movement might be that the journey itself is the prize. When you build up your savings, get rid of your debt, and invest for the future, that gives you freedom. It's the freedom to change careers, to take a lower-paying job that you actually love, or to just know that you're working because you want to, not because you have to. That's a game changer.
So if any of this is sparking your interest, you might be wondering, okay, where do I even start? Well, the core principles are just solid financial advice for pretty much anyone. You start by building an emergency fund. Get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up.
Then invest your money wisely. At the very least, max out any plans you have through your employer. And finally, plan for reality. A 50-year retirement is a lot different than a 30-year one, so those hard and fast rules like the 4% guideline might need a second look. And ultimately, that's what this all comes down to. Financial independence isn't about escaping a job, it's about gaining full ownership of the one thing you can never get more of, your time. So the real question isn't, when can I retire? The real question is, if I truly owned my time, what would I do with it?